Here we are. This is Here and Now with Steve Struggle, a Panther elder, and myself, Dr. Abraheim Weisfeld, uh, chairperson of the Jewish Socialist Bund. The Bund that is being written up in its history now by many authors, including Molly Crabapple in New York City, came out with a beautiful book. I finished reading it. It's like a novel, but it's real. Like it's the history of the Jewish Bund, but from a personal point of view, from the individual
You know,
characters, and what they had to go through and what they achieved and all of that. It's incredible. And all of that was wiped out by the Nazis, except for the survivors like me. We continue and we've lit the fuse and it's burning. So, and here we are now, just like the Panthers, which suffered, 200 assassinations and survived. And here we are with Steve Struggle. And now we continue. I understand you have a lot of videos to share.
yeah, I wanted to comment about the video that you showed last week about the author of that book. Anybody who didn't catch the last show really needs to go to the archives, go to Substack and find it and watch it. It's a very revealing document about not just the history of the Jewish Bund, but the personalities involved in the fight, how things developed, how things changed, and how history brought about and contributed to this organization's rise and creation. It's a very important book movie to watch, video to watch, because we don't know that history unless you're a reader of Jewish history. You don't know it, and most of us aren't readers of Jewish history. Just
Mm,
admit you know. I mean, not really. So I think should be a must read.
mm,
Um, Find it, have your library buy it, have
mm.
your school bookstore, your school library buy it. Find a bookstore where you can get it full price or at a discount, and read about 5 pages a day.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
This is something that you need to know. Certain things in history for our social justice movements and movements for equality and liberation, and this is a hole in our knowledge of such a movement, and we need to thank Abraham for you know making the video available because
Yeah.
we have never seen it before.
Yeah.
So
That's it.
it was
Yeah.
a it was a great issue of this program. And I highly encourage anyone who's looking through our stuff, looking through the material we have on Substack, to look at it, to get the book, to read and inform yourself of a history that you just don't know about for no reason of your own. You just haven't been shared the knowledge, and now you have been.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Jewish Bund has been suppressed, for so long, and now it's erupting like a volcano, thanks to Molly Crabapple. And her book is entitled "Here Where We Live Is Our Home," which is a sort of a Jewish Bundist slogan. Uh, and there was a parallel and an encounter which I could refer to on this matter because Nkrumah Torre, formerly Carmichael of the Panthers and SDS before that, he was advocating for the return of African Americans, as it was called at the time, to go back to Africa. And I met him one time on a beach in Tripoli when we had both gone down to the Mediterranean to have a swim. And there he was, coming in and out of the water, So we got to talk, and he was talking about Back to Africa movement, and I said, "Oh, wait a second, that sounds like," and he stopped me, and he wouldn't, allow me to say the word Zionism because, that's not what he was. He wasn't in favor of that, like some manipulation. But, if one looks at Liberia, one sees that that's a similar project in which basically Americans come to colonize the former African lands in the name of indigeneity. So there's that. to take into consideration as well, which isn't usually mentioned, and
Well,
it's something to take into
Liberia
consideration.
is so interesting. You know that Black Americans have no preferential right to return there? None whatsoever.
Huh.
No, I checked. I checked myself this calendar year, and they won't even respond to they won't even respond to your request for information. They
Huh.
ignore you. Because I requested information on clarification on this issue. Because I would have thought, since the American Colonization Society was an organization that grouped together blacks. I'm not sure if they were slaves or non-slaves. That part I'm not sure about. But there was immigration to this part of the world. They called it Liberia, okay? And it's got all these American names for the cities. As I understood it, the the emigres did colonize the land, did colonize the people, the Africans who were there, and it wasn't and William Tolbert was the dictator that served American imperialist interests through Firestone Tire Company. And when the revolution occurred, I want to say in the 80s or 90s, the American ancestor leadership was the source of the problem. I don't have enough. I don't have enough historical data to have a discussion right now on it. But I looked in the Constitution of the country regarding immigration. A white person cannot become a citizen. You have to be black,
Mhm.
and um, black Americans are given no. It's not like Israel. If a Jewish person can migrate to Israel freely
Mhm.
because of their, as I understand, because of their historical legacy as family wise and religion wise, as I understand it. Black
Mhm.
Americans in Liberia are not given that. No, there are other ways you can come into the country, but anybody who's black can come in the country those other ways. I thought there would have been a policy if you want to migrate here, sure, because that's what the country was based on. But that is no longer the case. That
Wow.
was just that was just, I checked it. I
Mhm.
looked at it very deeply. That's what I know about the Constitution saying that a person who's white cannot become a citizen.
Mhm.
I mean, you have to be black. In Liberia, I was checking a few countries out to see where was
Even
it easy for black people to go to Africa, and basically nowhere.
uh,
Ghana has a program. Uh, um, Benin has a program. There are not many countries that have a program that is
Burkina
specifically
Faso
designed.
does. Burkina Faso, I remember they called for refugee status. They're offering refugee status for Black Americans who want to escape. I think
Okay,
Burkina
well,
Faso did that. Yeah.
then I'm corrected on that. But in general, it's very difficult to find any countries. Say, I'm a Black American. I have a passport. I'll pass a background check. I want to migrate and have either give up my U.S. citizenship or or have dual citizenship. It's not. I mean, they're not many.
Oh, so
And
they're
I
keeping
thought
it for
Liberia
themselves.
would. Hmm.
They've developed their own national bourgeoisie that wants the country for themselves, and they couldn't care
He
less.
said essentially because if
Yeah.
you come there, you have to come there as a business owner,
Uh,
a scholar, a business, some kind of self, um, self-sustaining person, unless you go to a country which has a lot of industry and they recruit you as an employee of a company and they pay you the Western wages. Because
uh,
that's usually the problem is the wages are pegged so low that if you came here as a worker with your bills and um, requirements from living in the West, you just couldn't, the ends wouldn't meet. So that's why I usually people immigrate to Kenya, South Africa was more in industrialization and proliferation of industries where they could get a job or bring a business into an area like that, and their business then could feed off of either the people there or the need of a company, so, something like that. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, Liberia is very interesting. There is no, and I was stunned, and I wrote it for information. I never heard a word from him.
Uh-huh.
So
Well,
I'm not even nothing, nothing.
even the name, of the country, is Latin, like as if this was the Roman Empire, reborn, in the form of the United States of America. And there
Well,
sits
yeah,
King
yeah.
America, which means
I
freedom,
mean,
like in Latin. Sure. Yeah.
it's a very interesting place. I mean, if you meet a Liberian, they sound like a Black American. The
Yeah.
voice is the same. The voice is the same.
That's
The
what
uniform.
Trump said. Trump says he was surprised, that the Liberians would speak, English.
Why? Well, he's such a racist. He's so racist. He's so
Yeah.
stupid. Isn't there
Yeah.
a news story about his son wanting to go to Harvard? He couldn't get in. Now he's upset that some Asian girl. It was like it's just like they're a bunch of idiots. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. They're just stupid. And the Americans who voted for him like that stupid nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, he even talked about Xi Jinping. There's an article in the paper about 3, 4 weeks ago. Xi Jinping, President of China, he was saying, "Oh, Trump was saying, I was surprised how tall he was. If say you went down to Casting Central to find a Chinese in the movie, they'd be all short. He was tall. I really couldn't believe it. I want to say, man, shut up, you racist
Sure.
piece of garbage. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. He's used
mm,
to the Chinese being starved to death as children, which makes them shorter. Okay, well,
well,
that's no longer the case. That's over.
A friend of mine yesterday, we were talking about the same thing yesterday. A friend of mine, he was saying, in his view, one of the greatest transformations of any nation on the earth is China.
Yeah,
Because 50 years ago, even 50 years ago, that would be what, 20, in the 80s, 70s, 80s, you still might say Asian people are supposed to be waiters in the Chinese restaurants, cutting the lawns, being sex workers. In some parts of the world, you still might have the opinion of them. Now, absolutely not. Right, right? No.
yeah.
China, South Korea, Singapore, those three countries have changed the vision that the world can no longer say anything negative about Chinese people. Almost nothing.
Mm,
Think about it. Now think about it. Who's on the bottom? Black people. We are still on the bottom internationally. We're
yeah,
still nothing. We might be
yeah.
a good soccer player. You can't be a doctor. You can't be a teacher. But the
Mm,
Chinese,
mhm,
to their credit,
mm,
changed the opinion of and Vietnamese and Singaporeans and South Koreans. Those four
mm,
countries.
mhm,
What can you say now about you can't say nothing about Singapore. You can say nothing about Vietnam. You can say nothing about China or South Korea. Can you? No.
mhm,
No, you cannot.
mhm,
No, that your children come to school, you expect the Asian children to be smart.
mhm,
You would not think that 50 years ago. Oh, this quiet girl, got a little dress,
mm. No, that's over. Yeah.
That's over, brother.
Hmm.
That has ended. And
Yeah.
next is going to be the Iranians. They're right there with them now. They can go toe to toe with you. All the people have master's degrees and PhDs.
Mm,
A smart nation.
yeah.
Irregardless of if you like the Islamic nature of the republic, they
Mm.
showed that we can use technology to defend ourselves, and they have.
Yeah, United States has picked the wrong time to slap Iran around, because this is the week of Ashura. Now, Ashura is a revolutionary movement that started with the grandson of the Prophet Muhammad, who fought a battle against a dictator and lost. But ever since, the Shia have been commemorating the heritage of that revolutionary movement and have been continuing that revolutionary struggle ever since against dictatorial regimes. And so now, the United States comes around and tries to dictate to Iran. No way,
I
no
don't think
how.
so. I don't think so. I mean, they may be able to impose economic and military pain on Iran, but Iran turned around his last 3 months and has put pain on the whole world.
Yeah.
Everybody paid money for everything everywhere it went up. They said,
Yeah.
nope, trade is closed. What you
Yeah.
gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Right? The whole world. Well, literally, they weren't doing it physically. They had to bow down to Iran. Iran said, nope, we got this. This is ours. And we're gonna
Yeah.
show you what we can do. All of a sudden, insurance companies started raising rates. Boat companies started paying tributes. The whole, I mean, it's still an issue around the world. People couldn't buy their gas in India to cook. I mean, it's a mess.
Mhm.
Philip Iran. So they showed the power they had, and they
Yeah.
did. And that shows the stupidity of the ruling class because
Yeah.
they're so
Mhm.
racist, chauvinist, and bigoted that they don't think that these non-white nations, non-white skin or non-Christian nations can fight and win. They think they're stupid. They
Mhm.
think they're dumb.
Mhm.
They okay, well, how dumb, how much money did you lose on this war, dummy? So,
Yeah.
I
The
mean,
bottom line,
people,
that's it.
yeah, I mean, come on. They think that they are inferior. And like I said, China, South Korea, Singapore, those countries have shown, and Vietnam have
Mhm.
shown you the Asian people ain't sick, they ain't taking this. They
Mhm.
can they can make the world work, make the world work. And Russia
Mhm.
come in with the military and the oil.
Mhm.
India need to join the pack. We got a lot of countries who can basically the United States is not needed. And so they don't really need the US. They may like to come to school here. They may like to find the bank, some things about the country like, but they don't really need the US except for trade, except for a market to sell things.
Yeah. I've also
Right?
noticed that Oman has joined up with Iran. They have a joint agreement, a commercial agreement to regulate the Strait of Hormuz because it's their territorial waters. It's not
That's
an
fine.
international waterway like JD Vance, wants to claim and keeps
No, no,
on,
no.
repeating. It's not true. Under international law, that's their territorial waters and they can regulate it. Okay, and that's what they're doing. So Oman has gone over and is, become an ally of Iran. Okay, next. Saudi Arabia has just quit the United States of America for a strategic alliance with Pakistan.
Oh, no,
That's Saudi Arabia, the biggest of the countries in the Gulf.
that's
Okay,
interesting.
very interesting. The other countries like the UAE, which was waging a war even in Africa, in Sudan, and at least it's pulled back from that, and uh, UAE, which participated in the bombing of Iran in the first place, like
I
the
saw.
assault, the initial attack on Iran was, the
I saw.
tripartite, the United States,
Yeah, right, right.
Israel, and the UAE.
And
Okay.
UAE, and then
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia too. They also
So,
joined in.
ah,
That's Yeah. That's just come out in the news like in the last 10 days. That just came out. Yeah.
okay. So Saudi Arabia is pulling back from United States control, not the UAE, but the UAE and Bahrain, which are the closest allies to the United States there in the region. Like if they don't, pull back from the United States, they're going to be overthrown. They're going to provoke a revolution there, like is happening in Lebanon right now. Lebanon,
Yeah.
which is the government just signed an agreement to recognize the Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon
Oh
with no
man, how do you,
with no deadline, for
oh
retreat, for
oh
pullback.
how do
Oh
you do
boy.
that? Oh no, how do you do that?
No, no, they're not going to, that's not going to last. There's going to be a revolution happening in
Oh,
Lebanon.
no, we
And
that
it
that
started already.
no, no. Yeah, I
So,
saw that. I didn't read. I'm more than disappointed.
yeah, yeah,
Wow, your sovereignty means nothing.
yeah. Okay, let's see what you have lined up there for share. Let's go into it.
All right, let's preface. We mentioned last week,
Uh-huh.
in the first weekend in June, um, at the Shinobi, Mississippi, uh, Walmart store. Shinobi, Mississippi is a northern Mississippi town. It is part of the Black Belt South. It was part of the Confederacy. The Confederacy burned down the business district twice during the Civil War.
Uh,
There's one school district, with middle school, high school, and elementary school. There, there's never been any black people on the city council except for this year. The current term has two black people, and the city's been in existence 160 years in a predominantly black area. So, this is how some parts of the South are run. On politics, it's white ruling class and the white workers and the middle class unite with the white ruling class and then the black people unite against them. That's how many parts of the South still run. Okay.
Mhm.
So the young man, his mother, he's a baby, 1 year old baby. He with his mom shopping two or three Saturdays ago. Um, there was some claim that she had stolen something from the store. Security went in the parking lot to grab her or to sequester her. The police showed up and they claim, well, the police showed up and they shot in the car. They shot in the car. No one pulled a gun on the policeman. Okay, no one tried to fight the policeman. He's fired into the car, wounded someone who we still know that someone is, and killed the baby. So the
Mhm.
1 year old Cohen was killed that day. Okay, that is the background. Now I can share. Okay, the background is important. So let's see here. So here is. I'm sorry. So here. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the Stanford. Excuse me. Wrong one. Here we go. Right. So here's a poster that was made by the Building Bridges Coalition. That is the community group that's organizing the fight back. There's a march on Friday. I think a town hall after the march, and then his funeral was yesterday. Okay. The vigil was scheduled for a nearby city, but the mayor pulled the plug and didn't let him have the vigil. And right now, there is a community meeting going on. No, in about half an hour, a community meeting will be going on in at the barber shop. Good location. That's usually a neutral place where black people can go there and have no problems. So the barber shop is going on about an hour to be a community meeting there and look like a cookout. Yeah. Okay,
Can you
so that,
can you put that on the full screen to get the full
let's see.
or magnify it?
I tried. Let's see.
No, not that one. Above it, just that icon there on the first row. No, on the top of the masthead there on the right. Ah, okay, got the zoom.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah.
Yeah.
It keeps closing. So I'm gonna be. Let's see. Let's try one more time. Let's try
Okay,
one
that's
more.
big enough, that the details can be read then. Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Okay.
So his life matter, his future matter. We will not be silent. Okay. So together we stand, together we heal, together we seek justice. So what does justice mean in this situation? Let's take a look here.
Great.
Here's the protest. One picture from the protest on Friday. See, justice for victims of police violence. You see,
Hmm.
stop the war in Black America. These posters were all brought by the Party for Socialism and Liberation. They brought the posters. Very good. Give
Uh,
everybody something to hold. Okay. Rest in peace is a banner about Cohen Wiley's right here. That's the picture here.
yeah.
There are more pictures here of the demonstration. This must be the city hall here. Because this is a very small city. Okay, so here's
Uh,
City Hall here. Maybe about 7,000 people live there.
uh,
Okay.
wow.
Here's the PSL organizer here, Black community here. Pictures. Okay, so you get a sense of who's there. This is a mostly black town. Okay, so it's not like it's not just anti-white, just mostly black people. Okay, so that's what this is the demonstration they had Saturday. Okay, so we got next here. Here's more demonstration here. Here's the march that was held. Um, these are PSL members here, here and here. The banners here, mostly all the black. Looks like there may be about 50 people, 100 people here demonstrating. Again, small town, very
Yeah.
small town. That's what, the streets look small, okay? Because it's
Good
a small
turnout.
town.
Good turnout nonetheless. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Very good turnout. I mean, fantastic. And people from around the country showed up. That's also
Mhm.
good.
Yeah.
Here's the banner. This is I don't think this. I want to say this is his dad, but it's not his dad. People leading the march here. Young men, leading the march. Very,
Uh-huh.
very good. Very good state of those young men. Okay.
Yeah.
What else we got here? Here's some agitation here. The bullhorn. Very good. Organizing the fight back. Excellent. Peaceful demonstration. Very good. Okay.
Mhm.
And more. Here's another picture of the march here. So there was a fight back. I think this was like black. I think Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter came from Memphis, and the Black Panthers showed up, I think, from Alabama or Georgia. So the Black Panthers were there also. So it was a
Mhm.
very, very, very good march, demonstration. Okay, more here. Get more. I want to show the photos so y'all can see what's going on. Okay, so and that's the Walmart in the background. That
Mhm.
that that has been closed. The Walmart it is not open yet. It's still been closed. So, that they'll have to, so their people have to go shop somewhere else. Like in the bus boycott, people had to get around town some other kind of way. So if you're able to make those sacrifices economically, it brings about it raises the political capital of what you're doing. That's what we should learn from the bus boycott. People had to get around town some other way. And they organized so people are obviously shopping somewhere else. I'm saying that's saying something about the determination to keep this movement alive. It takes some sacrifice. That's fine. Freedom doesn't come easily. You know, so that's kind of it. There's some more videos I had, but they've been taken down by the TV. There's a picture. Let me see if I can get this one right here. Um, here is. Let me go back here real quickly. Yeah. Here is the funeral. If you go to MississippiFreePress.org, you'll see a variety of pictures here about the march, um, about the struggle, and there's also a link to the funeral. There's a channel. It's right here. Excuse me. It's right here. Here's the funeral service is actually right here on the News 3 channel. It is the funeral, so it's going to be emotional. So if you watch it, I'm gonna give you a little trigger warning that you're probably going to do some shedding of tears. But they actually have the funeral here. His picture of the
Yeah.
baby, and here's his mom. Mom on the left is interesting. Um, the mom is on the left, and husband and her former husband is on the right, and that is the attorney Van Turner. So this is a
Mhm.
typical black fight back. The attorney is the political center. The organizers have this constraint that at any time the family attorney can say, "Cool it." So you have to come with a method that they're not going to kick you out of the coalition. That is the constraint you work with in black fightbacks. If you don't accept that, you can't come into black fightback. The attorney and the family control the fight back. And you as an organizer have to work in that milieu to promote a revolutionary perspective. And
Yeah.
that's what's happening here. I'm just showing you that's how it works. To
Mhm.
violate those laws, you're kind of an outsider. And right now, you don't want to be an outsider. The PSL brought the banners. That was good. Everybody, so now we have nice visual, but they stay within the confines of the march. Smart. So here's the attorney. The funeral's here. That's it. So if you go to Channel 3 in Mississippi and put Cohen Wiley, you can see the funeral. It's about an hour and a half. You know, again, black funeral. You don't
Mhm.
see you don't see black people doing too much in the United States on TV anymore. So here you have it. Okay, and that's how we have funerals. So that's all for me. I just want to show you, it's very touching. See this young boy, he should be alive.
Mhm.
1 year old, hang on Sunday, maybe go to church, maybe not go to church. Hang out with mom and dad. Now he's in a coffin somewhere. Terrible, terrible situation. Shouldn't be.
Uh, What
And
big, beautiful,
and there's
lively eyes that he has
oh yeah,
had.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. And the thing to remember is 60 years ago or 70 years ago, there was a boy named Emmett Till. Emmett Till came from Chicago. That was a normal route of the black migration from Mississippi. He came from there to visit his parents in Mississippi. Emmett Till was like 13 or 12. And there's an allegation that he went somewhere and said something that a white racist thought was rude to a white woman, and
Mm,
they killed him.
mm,
So here we have Emmett Till 60 years ago, killed by a white racist over some a purported insult. And here we have this boy here killed 6, 7 years after Emmett Till for just being in the car with his mom. Okay. So
mm.
that is black life in America. Okay. So
Okay.
that's all I share, brother. That's all I got to share, that, and it's good that we're seeing more groups um talking about this, but there's so much more to talk about. But I'm glad to see people are coming and staying organized. And like I said, in about 50, an hour, they'll be having another meeting. So I'm sure now the state has to wonder what's going to happen when we whitewash this verdict and say the policeman did nothing wrong.
Mm,
They have to be worrying about that. Not because of violence, no, but because that will ignite the entire nation around this case.
mm,
And Trump will say something stupid, which he
mm,
always does.
mm,
And it definitely could cost him the midterms. Whether right now the midterms will be held in a few months. They're going to try and drag this out as long as they can. But I predict if they have any sense, they'll charge the policeman with something,
mm,
and then hope that he's found not guilty. To say that the murder was justified, it's not gonna work.
mm,
He in the, what did he they're trying to say the mom was rammed her engine and tried to hit the policeman. Well, she says she didn't, and all the body cam footage has been
mm,
seized by the police, and they're not releasing it. Now, some states they release it the next week, but
mm,
this Mississippi doesn't have that practice, so they're going to
mm.
try and drag this out and smear the mom and say, "Oh,
Mm.
what a tragedy," you know. And
And
that
that's
people should know. People should know too, Abraham, when they in these kind of cases where it's clearly police abuse. And I'll give you another case.
mm. That's
Um,
Mississippi Goddam.
yeah.
That's why it's called that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The case in Colorado, I know it personally. There's a young man named um, Malcolm Booker, and Malcolm Booker was a street priest, and he was in jail one day. This is about 7 years ago. He was in jail, and in the Denver County Jail, downtown Denver, and he was being moved to another part of the jail. He didn't have his shoes on. So he told the jailer, I'm going to go get my shoes. And they
Mm.
beat him to death. He's in the jail. He has no weapons. He said he went to go get his shoes, and they beat him to death. Oh, such a tragedy, the tragic death of Marvin Booker. They
Mm,
always will say, when it's clear that they're wrong, they'll
mm,
say a tragedy.
mm,
Oh, Marvin Booker, what a tragedy. Yeah. Did anybody go to jail? No. The family may have got some money, maybe, but he's
mm,
dead. And y'all beat him to death he went to go get his shoes.
mm, mm,
That's why he was beat to death. Yeah, they
mm,
beat him to death right there in the Denver County Jail. Yeah.
mm,
So they always just keep that in mind. When America is clearly wrong, there's nothing they can excuse shooting a baby. Sorry, dude. The baby don't need to buy. I don't care what mama may have been doing in the car. What are you
yeah.
shooting at? Tragic death, but we must support law enforcement. That's the narrative that I want everyone to remember that. They always say
Yeah.
support law enforcement, and it's such a tragedy. Oh, only God can help us, that kind of thing. Okay, that's it.
Oh, yeah. Well, this reminds me of Hinda, the young Palestinian girl, baby girl, who was shot to death, after everyone else in the car had already been killed, and she survived and was talking on the phone. And that car ended up getting 138 shots into it, and she died thereafter. And her voice was recorded, and now, there's even a play made about her as well. And no response, from the authorities. That's just normal sort of practice. That's the occupation. And she shouldn't have been there in the first place, they would think. So that's the justification for murder. Okay, I have a video from inside the Zionist apparatus, decision-making process of the military and the Deputy Minister of Defense, Ben-Gvir, present as well, in which the decision is made to go and bomb the Israelis who were taken hostage, by the Palestinian resistance during October the 7th of 2023. And this is an internal video. I don't know how it got out, but this is a proof of the deliberate murder of their own Israeli military. Okay. Who were taken hostage, by Hamas and the other resistance. Here it is. Oh, leaked video emerges. Yeah. Okay. I wonder if this is working here. Oh, yeah, it's in the background. Let's see now if I can get past this pop-up. Okay, here it is. Along with the soldiers who got abducted. Ah,
דופק להם מכה על מנת שתהיה להם בעיה. כתבתי את זה מהמכדור, אם לא מעלים מזכר לזה, תרופה שלי אמרה, לא, עליי. שורדת כל אם כאלה שפצעו להם. אלו הרגעים הראשונים בחמ"ל המשטרה. איפה? באיזה יישוב? עוד לפני שהשר הממונה יגיע. בטרם יוחלט, מה לשידור ומה לצנזור. אז רגע, אתה מצלם שלי? אני נותן לך אישור או אתה צלם את זה?
That's Ben-Gvir right there. That's the Deputy Minister of Defense. He's the even more fascist than Netanyahu.
Ben-Gvir is a stone cold racist and fascist. He's a straight up genocider. He's just
Yeah.
he wears his feathers of he wears his cross of death with honor and dignity.
Yeah. And he's the one that was handing out automatic weapons, automatic rifles to colonists in the West Bank. I think I showed a previous video of him sitting at a table with all the rifles, laid out on the table, and one after the other, the settlers coming up, and he gives them, the automatic rifle, shakes their hand, sends them on their way. Not uniformed. They're not trained. They're just, like colonial settlers. That's it. That's all. They're given this automatic weapon and told they can go and kill with impunity. Huh. Okay. Well, there are consequences to that. Okay, so
There sure are consequences to that. Yeah.
so with respect to Iran, the regular corporate media is repeating the lies of J.D. Vance, that this is an international waterway. They keep on using that term. Those words are the words used to justify a whole war in which Trump is now saying that Iran will no longer exist. Those are the words from Trump this week. Okay. That if Iran doesn't submit to allowing commercial traffic freely through the Strait of Hormuz without control, without distinction as to their origin, then Iran will no longer exist. This is what Trump has said. So he's switching back, to the fascist mode. he flips, from being a
Yeah, no,
fascist,
you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
like one day, and then the next day, like he's, all for reconciliation, yeah, and love and peace. Sure. Okay. Well, Iran's not going to let them get away with this. They're not, being cowed into submission either. So, like tomorrow, the price of oil is going to skyrocket. The American economy is going to go down because they're running out of oil. The reserves, the reason, that the price of oil, has been declining, not as to the original price. It's still about 25%, higher than the original price. But it's gone down, from about 115 a barrel to about 75 a barrel. Okay. The reason why it went down to that amount is because the United States was using its oil reserves to fill the market so that there wouldn't be a penury, there wouldn't be a lack of supply. And so the price of the oil could go down because there was, this influx of the reserve oil reserves from the United States that kept the price low. However, the reserves, strategic oil reserves of the United States of America, last week had 2 weeks left, and then they were, like empty. And the price of oil is, going to go up as a result, because they're not getting the oil to the West that they want, in order to keep the price low. The United States has lost its reserves, probably Europe as well. So this is the crunch point. I think this is what they call the crunch. Yeah, it's coming up. And now they want to continue the war against Iran while they're facing that prospect. That's economic suicide. Okay, let them go for it. We're ready and waiting. No problem.
I'm glad you brought that up because about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I heard a story about the end of June, beginning of July is when everything's going to crunch. That's going to be the crunch period where there's no real oil. The oil will have run out. Literally, not no oil on the earth, but no oil in the pipeline because the tankers that were coming from the strait that were blocked, that there it's been like a 3 or 4 week gap of oil deliveries, and there just won't be any oil to deliver. And what you were saying too, the glut. I think they even give licenses to sell Iranian oil and Russian oil to make sure to try and bring the prices down.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's about 20% reduction, but still about a 30 or 35% rise still from what it was.
Mhm.
And um, you made a very good point that this is where misinformation and deliberate lying to the populations is going on. No population would want its strategic reserves. That's like the money in your bank account. Would you
Yeah.
want to go down to zero? No. Okay. So, but they treat this as if it isn't a bank account. It's just oil. Well, where does it come from? How do you produce it? How do you
Mhm.
deliver it? How do you refine it? How do you market it?
Mhm.
Okay. That's why I propose a campaign worldwide against the capitalist system right now.
Mhm.
How
Mhm.
much money did you lose in the last 3 months because of oil prices?
Mhm.
How much have you lost in your savings? Get real. I'm talking about working people. How much have you lost? Have you thought about that? Where the money going to come from to replace it? How are you going to replace it? Just ask the question. What are you going to do to resolve this issue? You lost all this money because of the loss of income because the prices went up for everything. So what are you going to do? Can you replace it? If you can't, what's that mean about your situation as a member of the world of the working class?
Mhm.
Somebody has forced you to go into your savings big time or increase your use of credit cards, and now you're
Mhm.
more in debt or you have less money.
Yeah.
Do you
And then
want that?
you're told be happy. Be happy
Yeah,
you've got.
well, just wait. Just wait. Wait. How can I wait?
Yeah.
It's coming down soon. Wait a minute. I'm still
Yeah.
spending more. I'm spending more to exist now because of what you did.
Yeah.
I'm just on the receiving end of pain.
Yeah.
I,
So,
I,
so
I'm in pain. I think we should talk about this. I mean, organizing propaganda that's useful to bring the question, what's going to be done about this?
yeah.
We lost collectively around the world, maybe $1 trillion, at least $1 billion in money was taken from us because we now had to go into our savings or use credit to buy things that were able to buy without using that saving or credit. Yes, that's true. Okay. So anybody was honest, like I said, a working man is honest about the budget and the money. You can talk about budget and money. Oh, you're right about that. So what's the solution here?
Yeah.
I mean, come
Yeah.
on now. You can't just let somebody take your money like that, can you? Did
Yeah.
did, did you ask him to go to war and raise the prices? No.
Mm.
Did he think about you and went to war? No. Well,
Mhm.
has he offered you a check to give you back the money that you lost because of what he did? No. God, that's three no's. He
Mhm.
just struck out. He struck out. No, no, and no.
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I think I would love to do that because in this one, the system has no answer that makes any sense. You and I lost a lot of money over the last 3 months that we have not planned to, and we did nothing to force this loss on us. We went to work, we paid our bills, we followed the rules, and you stole money from us.
Yeah.
Hmm. What kind of system is this we got? Maybe we need to change the system
Mhm.
because back or not, you're hurting now. I'm hurting now. I sure am. I don't drive as much in my car. I stay at home. I don't go nowhere. Why? I had to spend that money last 2, 3 months, and I don't have any money now.
Yeah, a
People,
while back,
people,
they what they offered as a compensation for this loss was the slogan "short-term pain for long-term gain." That was the
no, just pay
that was a
back
while
what you took
back,
from me. Yeah.
but
But,
like it's been a while, since they were using that slogan, and the
but
long-term gain,
no, no,
hasn't
no,
gained,
no. I,
they don't
I
use that
want the
slogan
money back.
anymore.
No, you can keep your slogan, Mr. President, or Mr. Prime Minister, or whatever. You keep your
Yeah,
slogan. I want the money back.
yeah,
I pay $10,000 more or $5,000 more. So how about cutting me a check right now?
yeah,
Because I'm just saying somebody could run with that who knew what they were doing. Because a lot of people went into debt or lost some savings because of what happened. People that
yeah.
were a friend of mine, somebody I know, was telling me, listen to this, that KFC in a prominent Asian country, the line was 2 hours long. Now you and I ain't waiting 2 hours long on no damn KFC, so she must have had to have waited for 2 hours for KFC. That means they didn't have any food at home, right? That's what that means, right? You ain't gonna wait in KFC 2 hours for nothing. You go home and eat some food, right? Right. The money was so torn out, they had to go to KFC to eat. And they're waiting 2 hours. This from a very reliable source I have. I'm not saying
Oh,
that. Can you imagine that?
wow.
KFC?
There's another aspect to this, with respect to Canada, because Trump has been threatening Canada, huh? And there's a movement, a pro-Trump movement in Alberta that wants to split from Canada and take the oil with it, to feed the United States. But right now, the Canadian government has suspended oil shipments to the United States. Whoa.
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa. Huh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, they hate that.
They hate that, And if that continues, what are they going to do? Are they going to come and occupy part of Canada and take the oil? No, I don't think so. We're ready for that. The Canadian military
Canadians
is
would fight back.
already
Canadians
primed,
would fight back on that. Canadians
yeah,
would
they
fight
would,
back.
we're ready to fight back, here, no problem. So that's something that the media doesn't talk about because when Trump talks about how the United States is oil sufficient, self-sufficient, has all the oil it needs, not true because they were getting a
That's
lot of
true.
their oil from Canada, and Canada, excuse me, is not part of the United States of America, period. So that's that. That's there, and Trump can do nothing about it. Now, the Alberta government, is sort of, one of these pro-Trump, conservative party
Mm,
factions. And
mm.
they've threatened, to hold a referendum and split and join the United States of America and hand over the oil. or a pittance. Okay. However, they can't do that legally because there's treaties with the First Nations in Alberta that guarantee, the security of the indigenous territories, which is most of the province, even though they don't have rights to the subterranean resources. Okay, that's belongs to the so-called federal government of Ottawa. However, the land itself cannot be taken away from the indigenous people. So they cannot split from Canada and join the United States without the permission of the indigenous nations there, who, have nothing to gain, whatsoever from the United States of America. So that's it. That's that, like they're not getting it. They're gonna,
All, all, all I would caution you on in that one is if they want to send some Navajo and some different tribes to bribe to tell the First Nations, well, we can build you a casino. I mean, I'm saying don't put it past them to try that casino crap
oh
because
yeah,
that's the only money. No, I can say that. Beside the B at the Bureau of Indian Affairs, in the United States, that's the source, or in Alaska where they have some land rights that Native people demanded in the civil rights movement for the Native people in the 70s and 80s in Alaska. Um, that's all they could offer the Native people. There's
yeah,
nothing that, trust me, if they became part of the United States, the value of Native people in Alberta would go down to -100
mm,
because that's just the way the United States handles the indigenous populations. If say they
mm,
can't lock you up and deport you, they don't give you nothing. They care
yeah,
less about it. They care
yeah,
less about it.
yeah, yeah,
You are lower in many ways than black people. You can't get them lower than that.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
it. The indigenous and black United States, permanent underclass.
yeah,
Permanent. So I hope our indigenous brothers and sisters in Alberta don't believe the hype because the United States doesn't care, doesn't give a damn about you. No,
yeah,
they don't. You have a much better deal with Canada. Even if that deal ain't perfect,
yeah,
you have a much better deal with Canada. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think that sums it up for the week. I think we've
Okay.
got
Sounds
we got
good.
it all tacked down
Yeah.
and packaged,
Okay.
and I think it's all quite understandable. And this is not getting better. This is getting worse.
I
So
agree.
how long can they get away with, this power trip over the world? I don't think that the United States, despite all its military might, can get away with this scenario. It's not working. It's actually pushing more countries of the third world to identify their interests with the third world and with BRICS and not with NATO or United States or whatever. Like, no,
They
this
have to
is
let their leaders know. They have to let their leaders know. If you get us entwined with the United States, we will overthrow you. Make that very clear.
yeah,
Anybody in these countries, make it very clear. If your leaders sell you down the river, you got to get rid of them.
yeah,
You got to get a faction of the army with you. You got to have an indigenous revolt and got to force them out. I'm
yeah,
not saying kill anybody. I'm not saying kill anybody. I'm saying, but they got to go. The United States will sell you down the river every time they can. It's
yeah,
all about them getting rich. So
yeah,
hold your leaders accountable, okay? People in the union, hold your union leadership account. People in the schools, hold your student council and your leaders available. And that's why next week I really want to play this clip from Stanford because these Stanford students they denounce Google. You don't hear Google be denounced anywhere in the United States. They denounced Google and Stanford for their role in the oppression of the people. That was a
mm,
good statement here from college students.
mm,
That's here. So do the same thing in the third world, and I think there's going to be some progress. We got to
mm.
keep fighting. That's it.
Okay. Oh, okay. So until next week then, Steve, great to speak with
Okay,
you
till next
again.
week. All right.